Hi friends, I hope you have a wonderful day, and this time I'm gonna be reacting to the 2024 F1 season in 19 minutes. So yeah, let's check it out.
The 2024 Formula One season, a year that has provided us with so much entertainment than we expected, emotional moments, heart attack worthy battles, races so chaotic that half of the time we don't know what the fuck is going on.
What the fuck happened? What happened? What happened?
And a season that has left us with tears of relief and joy. But also pain depending on who you really support, and in my case, I'm unfortunately over here. But regardless, this year has been insane. That the best word I can think of to describe F1 in 2024 is random. Because we could have the most predictable, boring race one time, but then have World War III about a week later. And I'm about to recap all of these races in this video. That's right, guys, 50 hours worth of cars going in circles condensed into a couple of minutes. I am going to blow my brains out. But anyways, let's begin, and there's no other place to start than in Bahrain. Now, before the season started, people were pretty much expecting 2023 all over again, as in
Max Verstappen wins! Max Verstappen wins! Max Verstappen wins! Max Verstappen! Max Verstappen! Max Verstappen! Max Verstappen! Carlos Sainz! Max Verstappen takes victory!
And as the season started, we kinda had that. In Bahrain, Max Verstappen won by 22 seconds from his own teammates. In Saudi Arabia, he won by another 13 seconds. Though at least we got some solid entertainment from Oliver Behrman after he replaced Carlos Sainz since the man got appendicitis, where he still decided to show up to the race weekend looking like he just got railed by Charles last night. But Behrman finished the race ahead of Lewis Hamilton and scored more points in Saudi Arabia than Sauber did their entire season. And in Australia, Max was on his way to win again until his brakes blew up, so Carlos took the win. But before he crossed the line, on the final lap, George Russell crashed his car and had the calmest reaction to being told that Lance Stroll was behind him.
Red flag!
Red flag, you got Stroll.
Red, 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 red!
But off to Japan, Max
I guess I saw that somewhere, or I was watching the F1. I remembered that he was screaming red, 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 red.
won by another 12 seconds, and in China, Lando Norris bottled his start so hard at the sprint, expect more of that later. Meanwhile, Lance Stroll rammed into Daniel Ricciardo because he was apparently looking somewhere else, and Max won the race by 12 seconds again. While Fernando Alonso, despite qualifying P3 in the race, dropped all the way to 7th. I just knew that this was going to be a long year for Alonso fans. But as I've said, as Max won the majority of races at the start of the season, everyone was expecting the same shit as 2023. But that is not until the turning point of the season, Miami, Florida, where in the race, Max got damage to his car while Lando got a perfectly timed safety car in his favor, allowing him to take the lead, and he was able to maintain it with the pace of his McLaren and win his first ever Grand Prix. Now, everyone thought that this was just a fluke by McLaren, but as F1 went to Imola, which was thankfully not underwater this year, Lando qualified in P2 and was homing in on Max by the end of the race, where he finished just 7/10 behind him, actually making Red Bull look beatable. And as F1 went to its next race, being Monaco, Red Bull was finally beaten in raw pace. However, not by McLaren.
Charles Leclerc wins the Monaco Grand Prix to achieve his dream.
Finally!
Yes!
Yes!
Huh?
Yes, yes, yes!
That's pure emotion for Charles Leclerc.
Ferrari completely outclassed the competition in Monaco, qualifying first and third.
I have heard so many laughable stuff about Ferrari, so I didn't even think that Ferrari did win last year. Sorry, I guess.
And after Max made a mistake in quali, Sergio Perez failing to get out of Q1 and had his car turn into an escape pod after the first corner, Charles Leclerc
Oh my god. That looked so bad.
Cruised through the entire race and won his home Grand Prix with ease. It was kind of a boring race though, thanks to the cars being bigger than Sergio Perez's booty cheeks. But apparently after this glorious win by Ferrari in Monaco, not even a week later in the Canadian Grand Prix, they got a double DNF after Carlos crashed into his future teammate and Charles had car problems and was on hard tires while it was raining.
And I've decided that I want to die.
Oh, I'm so glad you've made that decision.
I swear, it's almost like...
But yeah, the tire choice was a dumb one, and yeah.
The universe is always finding a way to balance the world whenever Ferrari does something. Like, the team can't have shit without a sacrifice. If they want to win a championship, it's like they need to sacrifice fucking Leo. And meanwhile, Perez in the Canadian Grand Prix just had to crash thanks to, I don't fucking know, the wind. But after Ferrari's joys and pains, we are now off to Spain. This was the race people said where McLaren for sure started having the faster car compared to Red Bull. But despite Lando proving that by taking pole position, he fumbled his start again, which allowed Max to win the race by just 2 seconds. And after Spain was Austria. Now this was one of the boiling points of Max and Lando's rivalry. Coming into the weekend, Lando was only 69 points behind Max in the championship.
Nice.
And so he has to make this race count. And Lando did try his best. However, Max Verstappen, being Max Verstappen, qualified on pole, didn't fumble the start, kept the lead of the race, and was set to win. But this time, Lando had more pace in his McLaren, and after Max had a slow stop, the two came out of the pit lane in kissing distance of each other. And as they battled for track position, they eventually made out.
Oh, they made contact. He's got a puncher. He's damaged his front wing. The leading contenders for the World Championship.
Who
So as a result, George fumbled.
who damaged other one? Max? Lando? What?
Won that race out of bumfuck nowhere. Lando had to retire, and Max still finished ahead of Sergio Perez after getting a 10-second penalty, a puncture, and a pit stop. I swear, it only gets worse for Perez from here.
Okay.
And so it did in the British Grand Prix, where he spun out in Q1. And also, Perez literally renewed his contract with Red Bull a month prior to all of this bullshit. I am convinced he probably had a gun pointed to Christian Horner's head. But the main topic of Silverstone was McLaren messing up their strategy, and most importantly, Lewis winning the race. For his final year at Mercedes, he got a win in his home. What a beauty! But what's not exactly as beautiful was the next 3 races after Silverstone, especially if you're a Red Bull fan. Because as we head to Hungary, Max Verstappen had a whole nervous breakdown on team radio because his car was underperforming and his team strategy was
I hope we will hear that.
miserable.
A -5 brake pads and the thing just doesn't turn. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's some gentle introduction.
No, mate, don't give me that. You guys give me this strategy, okay? I'm trying to rescue myself.
Then he had the biggest crash out just dive bombing Lewis. And the best part about this is that he was sim racing till 4 a.m. before the race. Max Verstappen this season officially became a part-time F1 driver, full-time sim racer.
The guy next to me just wrote me privately, "I'm gonna touch you."
But anyways, Oscar ended up winning his
I guess do your thing, but like the day before till 4 a.m. Okay. Good choice.
first race in Hungary, congrats to him, but only after McLaren fucked up his strategy again, giving Lando the lead instead, which he had to give back to Oscar. And since Lando was heated for having to do that, in the cooldown room, he redirected his frustrations towards Lewis.
You had a fast car 7 years ago. 7 years ago. You had a quick car. You made the most of it, now it's us. I wasn't complaining, I was just complimenting your car.
And this completely fueled people's hatred for Lando. And it only got worse as time went on, as we now head to Belgium. Now this was really just a filler race, to be honest. Lando fumbled his start again, typical stuff, and George Russell won, except he didn't because his car was too light, since he probably took an overly big shit that morning. Though Oscar Piastri did give us some good overtakes. Expect to hear more about him too. But now we dive to Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix. In FP3, Logan Sargent crashed his Williams so hard, it made an amazing album cover. And in the race, Red Bull's pace was nowhere to be seen as Max got overtaken by Lando. So Lando won Max's home race by 22 seconds and then said this.
Simply lovely, huh?
And this fueled even more hatred from the F1 community towards Lando, where people started to say that Lando went from one of the most likable drivers on the grid to one of the most hated.
Who the fuck does he think he is? I think he's piece of shit. What? Who do you think you are?
Oh, and after the race, Logan was replaced by Franco Colapinto. I think we can all understand why, but still, our freedom fighter will be missed. But finally, we can head to the second most eventful triple header of the season, Monza, Baku, and Singapore. And the driver who stood out the most in these races was Oscar Piastri, who I'd say has the potential to be a future world champion. Despite it only being his second year in F1, Oscar pulled a brilliant
He looks really young. Like, really young.
move against Lando in Monza, essentially saying fuck your championship. And as the race went on, it just got even crazier as Oscar climbed up to P2 ahead of Lando, and Ferrari decided to pull a one-stop strategy, allowing Charles to win. The Tifosi fucking did it. But once again, as it's the universe's natural pattern to balance things out for Ferrari, in Baku, Mr. Piastri pulled another brilliant drive, taking the win away from Charles. Franco Colapinto was also great, finishing in P8, essentially scoring more points in that one race than Logan did in 2 years. But on the other hand, Carlos and Perez, the two drivers with the juiciest asses on the grid, decided to get a taste of each other.
This one's not over yet. We're heading into the wall at high speed.
You know what? This is bullshit. This is bullshit.
But now we can fast forward.
Jesus. But that, I don't know why that kind of looked like on purpose, you know. But who am I to judge?
To Singapore, where everything except the race was entertaining. Before the weekend started, Daniel Ricciardo was said to be dropped by Red Bull after the race, and during the driver's press conference, Max Verstappen said the word fuck and was fined community service hours by the FIA, and the man was not having it.
I went into qualifying, I knew the car was that's right, I mean, the car was not working, the car is effed, yeah. And then excuse me for the language, but come on. Like, what are we? 5-year-olds? 6-year-olds?
Now this enforced rule by
Again, good job, mate.
by the FIA caused so much backlash. If you didn't know, the FIA is now penalizing swearing at press conferences, which is just a bunch of bullshit. Max was badass for speaking out, so did the rest of the drivers. However, that wasn't enough to stop it. Because the person responsible for all this, and for those of you who already watch my videos know, is MBS. The worst human being to ever control Formula 1 and has been ruining the sport. Firing his critiques, abusing his power, tries to be the center of attention, and destroys people's freedoms. Now, I don't even know who I'm describing at this point, the FIA president or Saddam Hussein. You almost just can't tell the difference.
And one thing you said about Japan, you said was controversial. No. The FIA was blamed for the points, but it was not the FIA which made the rules. It was the teams who made the rules, and we were implementing it.
So if I ever catch this man in a 50-mile radius from where I'm at, I just know I'm gonna be looking at him like... But back to Singapore, Daniel Ricciardo was a more useful teammate to Max Verstappen than Perez, scoring the fastest lap. Though, sadly, Daniel was dropped later by Red Bull after the race for Liam Lawson. It's really sad to see, and the man from the hit team Visa Cash App RB will be missed. But now we can head to the most entertaining triple header of the season. Austin, Mexico, and Brazil. The places where Max and Lando's rivalries went off. Lando was only 52 points behind Max after Singapore, which means he has to finish ahead of Max in each and every one of these races and pray the guy crashes once. But unfortunately for Lando, it isn't gonna be so easy, because Max is a driver that isn't gonna go down without a fight or a 10-car pileup. But regardless, I'm gonna have to use a montage for this because so much shit happened.
The US Grand Prix is underway. Max Verstappen's going to give himself an opportunity into turn number 1, but Lando Norris is jumping across. There's the late lunge that Max Verstappen was looking for, and through goes the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. First and second battling each other, and they open the door for the driver in the Scarlet car. Verstappen on the defensive, Lando Norris on the attack. Lando Norris going through on the brakes, or can Verstappen hang on to it? He keeps his foot in. They both go off the road. Lando Norris has a penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. But Sunday is all about Charles. Charles Leclerc wins the US Grand Prix right now. We leave the line for the Mexican Grand Prix, and it's a good reaction time for Max Verstappen. He's got the inside line, he's got the momentum, he's surely going to get the lead. An immediate spin into the barriers for the V-car, and that will be an immediate intervention. Is he going to go for the late braking move? He is! That's the lead for Carlos Sainz. This is brave from Lando Norris, trying to go around the outside. Max Verstappen barges it, he's right on the line this time. Verstappen throwing it to the inside. They're both off. Extraordinary. But listen to this. The sight and the sound of this crowd acclaiming their winner. Carlos Sainz wins the Mexico City Grand Prix. The red flag is out. The red flag is out with...
And Ferrari again.
46 seconds on the clock. No one would have predicted Verstappen out in Q2, but my word. The Sao Paulo Grand Prix is underway. From the line, good reaction time for Max Verstappen, and through the spray, having a go at Lewis Hamilton. Here we go.
11. Huh?
Max Verstappen in another league right now. Wasn't even a contest. The man showing us why he's a 3-time world champion. He climbs the hill back to Grand Prix victory. Max Verstappen.
From 11th place to the 1st? What?
Verstappen wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Lance Stroll finds himself off the road on the formation lap, and he has got himself into difficulty.
And now we can finally talk about the final 3 races of this season, which can be summed up as this. Vegas was just full of weed that drivers were getting high in their cars. Max won the championship there too, crushing Lando's dreams. Then in Qatar...
Of some videos that I have seen, some of them kind of look weird. So who knows?
Joe Guanyu scored 4 points. The man actually did it. And during the weekend, Max and George were apparently beefing after George was pushing the FIA to penalize Max after qualifying. And the two immediately lost respect for each other. And finally, when it comes to the last race of the season in Abu Dhabi, the action didn't stop. Valtteri Bottas qualified to Q3. So did Nico.
Oh yeah, I forgot the Bottas was still here. Yeah, I don't know why it felt much longer than Bottas is away, so yeah.
They both had amazing runs, though they both also had it really tough during the race, where it got really messy immediately in lap 1, and pretty much every driver other than Lando, Charles, and Lewis were having a bad day. So as the last race of the season, Lando won, solidifying McLaren as Constructors' Champions, and Carlos and Charles both finished on the podium, where once again Ferrari is edged from a championship. You cannot make this shit up. And amidst his drama with George, Max Verstappen revealed to the world during the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that he is expecting a child with Kelly. What a way to end the year. I mean, for everyone in general. McLaren won the Constructors, Ferrari improved so much, Alpine improved as well after getting a double podium in Brazil, and Max Verstappen, this man, schooled every driver he's rivaled with this year. Sim races like F1 is a side gig, refuses to elaborate, then announces he's expecting a child. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 season summarized to the best of my ability. This year has been insane. New constructor winners, new broken records, and a bunch of different race winners, with surprisingly Perez being absolutely none of them. Which brings me to why I can't end this video yet, and that is because of two very important awards that I want to give out. Starting with the most disappointing drivers of the year, which obviously go to both Perez and Stroll. And as predicted, it has finally been announced that Perez will be parting ways with Red Bull. I can't really say I'm surprised. But now we can award the most goated drivers of the year, which we can obviously start with Max Verstappen. I mean, enough said. Then Nico Hülkenberg dragging his Haas tractor into Q3 so many times. Pierre Gasly causing Alpine no damage throughout the entire year. Charles and Carlos being the strong duo they are. Piastri showing how he's championship material. Fernando Alonso carrying the shit out of Aston Martin. And of course, Yuki Tsunoda, who has been feisty but great. And of course, there's a couple drivers that stand out a lot this season as well. Like our #1 MVP, Logan Sargoat, who has out-qualified Sergio Perez numerous times this season in a Williams.
What? No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
Now I gotta say, 2024 has been quite the season than what I expected. This year has delivered a lot, which brings a lot of excitement for the future. There's a lot of uncertainty coming to the future of F1, you know, with new drivers and new seats, new opportunities. Carlos looking depressed in his Williams. Lewis either needing a new shelf for his trophies or a new therapist. But what I do know for sure, though, is that I cannot wait to see the F1 rivalry in 15, 20, or heck, even 30 years' time between Max Verstappen Jr., Kimi Räikkönen's son Robin Räikkönen, and of course, the most dangerous of them all, Fernando Alonso.
The rookie! Oh my gosh, this was fun. This specific video did give me a different type of view on Max, so yeah. Kudos to you! So yeah, I hope that you did enjoy this video, and if you did, please consider to leave a like and subscribe, and if you have other suggestions, please leave them in my Discord server, and yeah, take care. Bye!